Welcome to this very special edition of The Author's Voice with KAJ, a show where we explore the stories behind the stories. Here we dive into the worlds created by authors and discover their inspirations and ensure that you walk away enriched and inspired. And today we have with us author Tyler Foley. He has been an actor since he was 6 years old. He's a versatile performer with a broad range of experiences in film, television, and stage. Appeared on productions including The Order with Jude Law, Freddy versus Jason Door to Door, and the unforgettable musical Ragtime Up. And he's a veteran podcast guest, more than 300 episodes under his belt, and also the author of The Power to Speak Naked. We'll be talking about his book today. Let's dive into the story behind the story. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Again, I love when you and I get to chit chat like this. It always brings me joy when you are the one of the only podcast hosts that I will stay up late in my time zone so that you and I can have a conversation. I've been excited about this for weeks since we arranged it. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you for this, Tyler. Thank you very much for this. You are welcome to the show. Welcome to India. Once again, in this online form, and this time we'll be talking about your book. This is the book that you have got, The Power to Speak Naked. We'll talk about this. But before that, let's understand a bit about how you got into this writing part. Means you were a performer. How do you get time to write a book? How did you get to this writing part that you passionately show in your book?
So, what's funny is that I actually didn't write my book. I spoke my book because, as you had pointed out, I've been a performer for over 40 years, and I am on stage a lot. I've been public speaking for close to 3.5 decades. So I didn't actually write my book in the traditional way where, either pencil or pen and paper or even typing it out. I actually spoke my book, and a lot of what the book was compilations of training videos that I had put together to show people how to public speak. Because when you're a speaker, you speak. And so I had a promoter who wanted to put me on some larger stages with some bigger name speakers. And he said that I couldn't go on one of his stages if I didn't have a book to support the courses that I was going to be promoting. So I said, well, I don't have a book. He's like, yeah, but you got how do you have all these courses if you don't have a book? He said, just transcribe it all. And that's exactly what we did. So we transcribed a lot of the training courses that I had and training videos that I had put together. And that then became the book. It actually made the writing process of the book really, really easy. What was really hard was the editing process and actually putting things together and making it a little bit more cohesive in written format than just me free float speaking the way that I tend to do.
Wonderful. And I'm sure this particular thing will inspire a lot of people who speak well but do not have the time to write. And this is where technology can help them. Since you wrote your book, technology has developed so much now. You got so many tools that can exactly transcribe what you are saying, and then everything can be done. Now there is there is this whole artificial intelligence also, which can put in everything into correct format and everything, and then you're without touching into the originality of your story, you can get the grammar and flow right with the help of artificial intelligence.
It's funny that you mentioned grammar itself. There's one of the AI tools that I regularly use is Grammarly. In fact, we are going to be doing a new version of The Power to Speak Naked, bigger, longer, and uncut, that will be released in September. And a lot of that, what I did was I utilized Grammarly and a couple of other AI tools to go through the book, find out places where, because a lot of what I say gets repetitive. I build on points, and a lot of times I circle back to points and go through stories over again. And so a lot of the training videos that we were uploading had similar themes to it. So the original book gets a little repetitive, and one of the things that we've done is use some of these AI tools to really scan for where have I said things, how can we build some of those processes better, what are we missing. That was one of the great things that I was able to enter into a couple of these tools, was scan through this. What are some questions that haven't been answered? and it would say, well, you haven't answered this, 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 and this. And then I could go through and literally have a conversation with the AI where I could say, oh, here's the answer to that great question. Here's the answer. And then I would speak to the AI as though it was an audience that I would be training. And then we would build more content that way. So the new book has really excelled because of some of the tools that are available to us as authors. And as you said, without infringing on my input into it. Like, it's still my information. I'm just having a tool that can quickly edit and go through it and help guide resources so that the end user, the reader, the consumer has a better experience reading the material that they've purchased. So I've loved AI and how it's helped improve my training material, improve the books that I'm releasing, and just improve my copy in many ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now let's come to the book part itself, the power to speak naked. You talked about how this book came into being, but why this book came into being? What was the reason? Who did you write this book for, Tyler?
So it's funny, this book is really designed for the people who have had kind of a leadership position thrust on them and are finding themselves speaking or being asked to speak to groups, and they're terrified to do it. And this book is really designed specifically to give people the confidence that to know that their messaging matters and that their opinion and their voice is important, and that whether they feel like they can speak in public or not, that they actually can. And the book really was a device to help people who were afraid to come to some of my training courses get familiar with the ideas and concepts that were in them without the fear of being put up on stage. Because anybody who's ever been to one of my training courses knows one of the first things we do is get you up speaking. And for a lot of people, it's a real barrier to entry because they think that they're afraid of public speaking. And so the book is a nice way for them to be introduced to some of the concepts that we go through in my training programs, so that they know that they're actually not afraid of public speaking. It's a myth. The people who think they're afraid of public speaking actually aren't. And we dispel it really quickly using the book. So that was really who it was designed for, and what the push was for those people who've kind of been told that they have to public speak but are still terrified to do it, and it's holding them back from either a job promotion or really excelling within their career because it's the one thing that they can't quite master.
Absolutely. So let's understand a bit of more detail. What have you covered in this book? What is it that anyone who buys this book will expect to get from this book, so that they are egged to buy this, they are egged to learn this, they are egged to take the value out of this book, but they cannot do it because they will not buy it until they know it.
Well, so one of the first things that they will get from the book is very quick, actionable tools that they can implement to feel more confident right away. Like, it's not, there's a lot of books out there that are theory. Mine is tried and true, tested, implementable strategy with that I've learned. I mean, again, I've been public speaking now 3.5 decades. I've been performing on stage for over four. And that has, I've got a whole toolbox. And the nice thing is the book is just a straight download from me. Like, a lot of people ask, like, even the conversation you and I are having now, I'm sure people can tell just through the camera that I have no problem standing up and speaking in front of people. And so many people had come up to me and asked, how do you do it? That I had to create and kind of reverse engineer my process so that I understood how it was that I could do it, because I didn't really understand. I've always been able to do this. This has been a skill set that I've had. And so to be able to download 4 decades of compiled knowledge into the book, they're going to get actionable strategies. So no fluff. You're going to learn, how do you feel as confident as I feel in your messaging? What are some steps you can take right now in 3 to 5 minutes so that you can relax and be prepared for any presentation? Somebody could come to you right now and say, I need you to talk on this in 20 minutes. And instead of feeling that dread, there are very clear steps within this book that you can take to find a center and a focus and be like, I got this. Cool. No slide deck, no props, no need for anything. That's one of the big things that we talk about in the book is, and one of the reasons it's called The Power to Speak Naked is it shows you how to strip down your presentation to the raw naked truth and just give a presentation as humans have done for eons, and that is in front of a crowd with just your voice and your energy to have them have an experience and feel what it is that they need to feel. And that can be done in a boardroom, that can be done in a theater, that can be done anywhere. It can be on the back of a tailgate doing a toolbox talk on the construction site. These are actionable tools for anybody who has to present any information at any time repeatably.
Absolutely. And if there is one thing that you would want to draw people's attention to, what would be that biggest thing that is in this particular book? Any particular chapter, any particular thing that you think is most important for them?
Yeah, I think the one chapter where people get the most value is our chapter that talks about engaging and re-engaging your audience, because the prevention is better than a cure. So one of the best ways to make sure that you don't have to re-engage your audience because you've lost them is to never lose them in the first place. So we have very again actionable steps and takeaways that people can use so that they can keep their audience's attention engaged in their message, and so that they can really hone in on who their audience is and tailor their messages each and every time so that they never lose their audience. And because it happens to everybody, even me, every once in a while, something goes wrong and you start to see your audience drift off. We have very strong, actionable steps in the book so that people can instantly have that reset, have that pattern interrupt, get their audience back on them and on their side and back in the flow of the talk and really engaged in the messaging that you're saying. And a lot of that, one of the other big takeaways that we have in the book is our storytelling method. So it's not actually inside the book, but in the book we have a QR code to a whole bunch of resources that are available. So anybody can scan the little QR codes at any time within the book, and they are able to get some additional resources for us. And one of them is our storytelling method. So it very rapidly breaks down your stories, plural. The exercise takes about 2 minutes. So it's a very fast thing. Like I said, these are things meant to be actionable so that if somebody drops on you, you have a presentation in 15 minutes. You have the strategies within the book so that you can be confident doing that and get that message out really quickly. So our storytelling method is a very nice worksheet that's available, not necessarily inside the book, but in the resources that are available on the webpage. And we're always expanding it. One of the things that I wanted to make sure with this book was that although it was published originally in 2017 and then re-released in 2020, that it's still relevant in 2025 and still relevant in 2030 and hopefully still relevant in 2035. And one of the ways that we did that was by including the QR code to the resources so that my resources page is constantly being updated as we learn new things. Because when this first came out, Zoom meetings was not a thing. And now
Right.
virtual meetings, everybody's doing them. Well, we were able to augment the book and create a section on our resources page that is specific to if you are having to lead virtual meetings. What do you need as far as a setup goes? How do you look professional showing up and being in a virtual environment and still be able to have the energy to maintain and engage an audience so that they feel that you're talking to them? Because it gets really hard when you're compressed into these little windows and to try and keep an audience engaged. So like I said, the book, because we have that QR code that links to the website that provides people with the free resources, they're all free. We're able to keep the book relevant. And I think that's one of the biggest blessings that I've got out of this book.
Absolutely. So no, none of the book, which one writes is easy. What was the most challenging part of writing this book at that point in time?
Oh, what there was two things. The two of the biggest challenges, one was actually coming up with the cover. As weird as that sounds, the cover and the title were very stressful. And the final version of this is
Mhm.
significantly different than what the original concept artwork was. Um, and then the editing, and more specifically, when we've put together the re-release, the second version that's coming out in September, um, trying to make sure that what I think I'm saying in my head is actually what's coming out on the page, and having it's a very arduous process. Like I said, the writing part was really easy because I just spoke it. So I just spoke and spoke and spoke and talked and talked and talked. And then when we were redoing the book, I just augmented it and I talked and talked and talked and talked. But it's real easy to talk. It's another thing to speak in a way that makes sense on the page. So making sure that the whole book was cohesive. I can't even begin to list the number of people that I need to thank for their input, because I've had at this point over 50 people read the original manuscript, read the updated manuscript, go through it, nitpick it, ask questions, including the AI. The I've had 3 or 4 different AI bots go over the book and augment it as well. So that rewriting process, it's that editing process was probably the biggest struggle.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, this one book, any other book that you are thinking of, Tyler? You have got so much of experience. You have gained so much of experience in between.
Yes. So when I'm not an author and a speaker, I am a safety consultant. So I'm actually writing a book based on my company called Total Buy-In, that is specific to safety culture and how to develop a really good safety culture. I also had an absolute honor and joy and pleasure to be part of the Podmatch Guest Mastery book that is part of Podmatch, which is how you and I met, is through Podmatch. So Alex Sanfilippo and um, Michael put together this. Michael Capuzzi was the instigator of this little brainchild, and there were 16 of us from Podmatch, all top guests, top ranked guests on the platform. We all got to have our input into this book. So the podcast Guest Mastery is out there and available for anybody who already, for our authors who are out there who are looking for a platform to promote their book or to speak. Again, this is how you and I got together. Podmatch is an excellent one, and the Podmatch Guest Mastery book is 16 of the top guests that were on the platform, sharing their insight and their wisdom how to be a top ranking guest. And that was an absolute joy to be part of. And I'm always coming up with ones. So like I said, we're releasing a new version of The Power to Speak Naked in September. I've got a few other ones kicking around in my head. I want to write another book on podcasting and why it's such an incredible tool and opportunity for authors and speakers and business professionals to really get their expertise out there and really get exposure to their message on a very low cost to entry. So I really I can't speak enough about the podcasting industry, and to hosts like you who are willing to support authors. Like, you are such an excellent host, and I know some of the guests that you've had on personally, and the way that you edify people and the way that you build up the community. Honestly, I'm so grateful every time you reach out to me to be a part of your show and be in your sphere, that I thank you endlessly for what you do and for being such an incredible host, because this really is a superior platform for people like me to get the message out.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words. And talking of Podmatch, great books. Those two of them, one you were part of. Those two of them, and also the great team Podmatch itself. Without that, even I would not be doing podcasting this way, the way I am doing at the moment. So all credit, a lot of, I would say, credit goes to team Podmatch. That is no hassles in saying that openly on a live show. Indeed, Tyler. And that is what I wanted to. Now, talking about your book itself, in a nutshell, what is it that you would want reader? What key messages, what key insights you want readers of this book to take away?
I think it boils down to one thing, and that is your message matters, and you have no idea the lives that you can change until you speak that into the world. And I want to give people all the confidence that they possibly could have, that their message to the world can be impactful, that they can speak their truth confidently without having to worry about judgment. Really, and I'd alluded to it earlier, everybody thinks they're afraid of public speaking, but they're not. Anybody who's ever eaten food in a restaurant is not afraid of public speaking, because if you're in a restaurant and you order food, especially if you didn't know your wait staff, you talk to a complete stranger. So the notion that you're afraid to speak to strangers is null and void. You spoke in public because it's a public place. So this notion that you're afraid to speak in public is null and void. And if the food that you wanted actually came to the table, you were able to ask for what you want and get it. So all of the preconceived notions around public speaking are null and void if you've ever ordered food at a restaurant. What most people are actually afraid of is public judgment, because when you're speaking in a restaurant, the whole restaurant isn't looking at you. And if your concern is that when people are actually looking at you and the focus is on you and the things that are coming out of your mouth may matter, that's not a fear of public speaking. That's a fear of public judgment. And that is what the book is designed to do, to strip away that fear so that you know that the audience is on your side. The audience is always on your side. And you and I know that because when people tuned into this show right now, they didn't think, man, I hope AJ brings on this really bad guest, and I hope Tyler Foley has nothing to say, and I hope he sucks, and I hope he forgets all of his words, and I hope he has nothing to contribute, and I hope everybody knows that he's a fraud. Like, that isn't what your audience was thinking. They were hoping that they were going to be educated, maybe a little entertained. They would take something away from this, or they wouldn't tune in. And that's no different for a real live audience. People don't show up to hear presentations hoping that the speaker is going to be awful. And yet that's the story most people tell themselves before they get on the stage. And so the book is designed really to let people know they don't have to worry about that, because the audience is on their side and they wouldn't have that platform if their message didn't matter. We don't ask second best to speak. We ask the best to speak. So if you were asked to speak or you were given an opportunity to present, it's because no one else could do it better than you. And there may be somebody out there in the stratosphere who is doing it bigger, better, brighter, stronger than you, but they weren't available. You were the best option at that time. You were the expert. So you're the expert. Your opinion and your story matters, and the audience is on your side. And if you can master those three things and know them to be truth, presentations become easy. And like I said, simple, implementable strategies in the book so that people know that in their soul, so they have the confidence to stand up. So if there's one thing that I want the book to empower people to know, it's that their story matters and can have real world changing effect by saying what they know to be true and speaking it to the audience that needs to hear it.
Wonderful, wonderful. There's so much to learn from you, Tyler. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more from you, learn from what you are doing at Total Buy, and other things that you are doing in terms of not only this book, but other books that you are thinking of. So, what's the best way for them to connect with you, Tyler?
The way to connect with me is through the website at SeanTylerFoley.com, and you've got it in the show notes. So if they're enjoying the KJ Masterclass and they're coming back regularly, but they have to scroll past the little 5-star and comments thing before they get to the show notes where you've posted my information. So before they hop down to my stuff, they're already on your stuff. So as a big favor to me, if they could, because you've given me such a great opportunity and a great platform, and you are so selfless with your time in the way that you give it, I would ask that the people who are enjoying your podcast and your content, before they get to my content, that they give you a 5-star review. And if they could give you a 5-star review and leave a comment, why? What is it that you like? What is it that what's your favorite episode? What's your favorite guest that you've had on? What is something that has been brought to you on this podcast that really had an impact or changed you? And if you could write that down so that AJ knows, and then we have the ability to bring on more guests like that or more content like that and really help you, the listener, out, because really at the end of the day, it's to serve you, the listener. If you can give a 5-star review, then If you come to my website, SeanTylerFoley.com, and Sean is spelled the proper Irish way, SeanTylerFoley.com. If you come to the website, I'm happy to give a whole bunch of freebies to you, including a free PDF of The Power to Speak Naked. So you don't have to pay the $17.95 US or whatever the conversion is wherever you're getting it, because it's available in over 50 countries. My publisher did a really good job of doing that. So you can buy it from the bookstore, or give this episode a 5-star review, and then click on my link, SeanTylerFoley.com. Come and get it for free on the PDF. And if you like it, then buy a copy for your friend. But that is the best way to get a hold of me. But no 5-star review, no free PDF for you.
Thank you for that, Tyler. Thank you for that indeed. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the Author's Voice with KAJ. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.